All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today, it's not a pump review, it's not anything crazy. As you can see, I'm just outside in my backyard. But I wanted to talk about a topic that, I have I give my opinion on everything I see, like gym wise, because I'm like on TikTok. At least I'm really like caught up on that side, in the sense that like my For You page is all like stuff related to the Olympia, or like people who are like currently big, or like even smaller creators. Like I'm just that's what I see on my For You page a lot, so that's what I see every day. And then my Instagram is the same thing. It's just a ton of stuff about fitness and whatnot. So in terms of like controversial stuff, I'm kind of well versed in, because I pay so much attention to it just to see what's going on in the fitness industry, I guess you could say. But something I want to talk about is the topic of natty or not. And I kind of wanted to get into why like natty or not became a thing, and then also the different reasons why people lie about whether they are natural or not. And it's a lot more complex than you think, because there's a lot of different reasons for you to lie, or for you to protect, right, what some people call lying. But there's a lot of different ways that you can not admit it and get away with it, and people would never know. But at the end of the day, like stuff does come to light. And so I already have a few examples in mind, because I started learning more about gear really only in the past like 6 months. Like I don't know any cycles, I don't know any compounds. I think it's better if I don't look into that right now. But of course I know what gear is, I understand how gear works and whatnot, the effects, right, the side effects and everything. But I want to bring up like a prime example of like one of the biggest like natty or not, I guess, situations in the fitness industry, which was David Lade. Now, if you like the people who know David Lade, like the TikTok For You page David Lade version that you're getting is not actually what he was like. So like, a lot of times they'll make the edits of him when he was like 16, 17, and then it cuts to when he was like huge and massive at like, I don't know how old he was. I mean, 19, he was already pretty huge. So like 19, 18, 20, let's say, right? And of course, David Lade, like that's the biggest natural transformation, right? And a lot of people give him like extra credit where it's due, of course, but they do say, he started from a really young age, and so that's why it was possible for him to get to this size. And although that is true, like you can get a natural physique if you've been training for a really, really long time. Unfortunately, like he didn't just lift alone. Like the edits you see don't really portray like what his videos were actually like. Like if you watch most of his videos, he was always hanging out with people, he was always doing stuff, right? So he had friends, right? He had a friend named Dylan McKenna, and the other was Quinn Vitale, something like, I think that's how you say it, right? He had these two friends, right? And they all released these transformation videos along with David Lade. So David Lade, he released his like 14 to 17, and then like 17 to 21 or something like that. I don't remember. But his friends all did the same thing, right? And the one thing like a lot of people noticed is like at certain points in their lifting career, not when they were 7, not when they were 8, not when they were 9, right? Not when they were still natural, because of course you can make that type of progress natural. All right, I guess this thing wants to turn on mid storytelling. But there's a lot of progress you can make as a natural, but like some of their transformations, they got like insanely huge and lean at the same time within the span of months, right? And that's the thing, like it takes years, yes, but does it take months? No. Like usually no one makes a transformation, no one makes an insanely big transformation in months. And by months, I mean like 1 to 3. Like, I feel like you could see noticeable difference in 3 months, in 6 months, in 8 months. But like in a month or two, like to gain something like 25 pounds of muscle, you see what I'm talking about? It's really how much muscle you're adding on, right? Because that's how much size you're gaining. So if I'm 166 pounds today, and in 2 months I were to be 185 lean, did I really just pick up the fork? No, right? Because no one makes, dude, for me to get from like 145, 150 to 166, it took me 3 years to put on like 15 to 10 pounds of muscle. Sorry, I'm trying to like kill and grab the flies at the same time. But like, it took me so long, even just to put on a pound of muscle takes forever, bro. Like, you're telling me you do 15 in 1 to 2 months? Now, of course, I don't want to hear people saying, oh, you don't train hard, you don't eat hard. No, I do all that stuff, but you gotta be realistic. 25 pounds of muscle in 2 months is kind of questionable. While staying lean, while increasingly getting super strong, like, you see, there's too many red flags. But the point is, Dylan McKenna and Quinn admitted that during a certain time phrase, they and their friends, right, like in both videos, oh, me and my friends started taking, right? They didn't say David's name specifically, didn't say Quinn's name specifically, just said me and my friends. But obviously, they all got kind of like huge, jacked and lean at the same time together. And then, of course, if you watch his videos, you know about that. I think it was called Rock Bottom, right? The supplement store that he went to and whatnot to get all this pump stuff. But, you know, I don't know where he got his gear from. I think Quinn said that his dad bought him some. So, I mean, there's already that. Like, these guys had access to it, right? That's the point I'm trying to make. But of course, years later, like after they blew up and everything, Dylan came out about it and Quinn came out about it, but David did not say anything, right? And so, like, if David's friends are saying that as a group, even though he wasn't directly referring to Dylan and Quinn or to Quinn and David, even though they weren't referring to them, they just said, like, you know, me and my friends, we took gear. So obviously that implies that, like, you know, if these 3 super close friends are making the exact same like transformation, getting insanely huge and lean at the same time, what makes you think David did not do that? Like, yes, he has good genetics, of course, and yes, he trained for a long time, but the biggest giveaway is if you look at him now and you compare it to his physique years ago, he's not as big. But the thing is, like, yes, you could say, oh, he injured his spine, which he did, right? And he started working out less. And yeah, that makes sense. You know, if you got injured and you have to train less, you're gonna get smaller. But the thing is, like, how did you get injured, right? Oh, no one knows about that. But then it's like, oh, right? Some people know he slipped his disc, right? And it's like, oh, well, how did you do that? Oh, well, you were deadlifting. Okay, how much were you deadlifting for you to injure your spine like that? Look at David Lade's deadlift records. The dude's deadlift was insane. Now, at the body weight he was at how lean he was, to be that strong is already not that strong. Like, he was doing 300, 400. This dude was doing like 600, 700, 500 pounds. Like, it's at like 180 lean, 190 lean. You know, it's possible, but at the same time, some of the records he was pulling, like, that's not possible to do naturally, right? And the thing with steroids is when you take it, right, you get super strong really quick and your muscles grow, but your ligaments and your tendons take a while to catch up. And a lot of people do not know about this. And that's how, I don't know if you guys know about Mike, the Trend twins. He turned his pec. Obviously, they're on gear. Kind of don't have to explain that. But his ligaments and his tendons just weren't there with the 500 pounds he was trying to bench. So that's why it doesn't matter how strong you are, your ligaments and your tendons are not there. And the steroids aren't just gonna, you know, supersize, like grow them super quickly, and now you can do whatever weight you want. So it's the same case with David Lade. He was probably taking gear to be as strong, as big, and as lean as he was, but when he was doing exercises, it was too taxing on his body. That's why like I kind of stopped 1 rep maxing as well, because it is really taxing on the body to give everything you have into 1 rep, especially when your body's fragile. Like, you could get injured so easily. How many times have I injured my pec bench pressing, injured my lower back, pulled something? Like, it happens too often. So especially if you're on steroids, like, you're gonna think you're stronger than you are. Like, especially with how gear like has mental side effects. If anything, I know if I took gear, I would think I'm on top of the world. I'd be like, I could do any weight I want. And that's exactly how you get injured, because you need to know, like, your body has capacity, or like it has limitations within the moment. Like, if you took time to get stronger, maybe in the future you could do that weight. But the thing with gear is it speeds everything up so quick. So you're growing really quickly, but your body's just not there. You know, like, that's how people get injured. But the point being is, he gets injured. Obviously, he hops off cycle, which is why he starts to get smaller. And then on top of that, he lifts less frequently and not as heavy as he used to. So of course David Lade is smaller now than he was back then, because back then he was on a cycle and healthy and not injured up until that point where he had to come off everything, go into surgery, get all the stem cells stabbed into his thing, etc., etc. So why would David Lade lie about being natural? Like, when he was taking gear, right, when he got the Gymshark sponsorship, when his name was the biggest in the industry, why did he never admit to it? Well, there's 2 reasons why people do this. And there's like there's not really a good side to it, but there are people who are trying to protect others, protect their fan base, right? David Lade, who were the people who watched him? The same thing for big influencers now, Alex Eubank, right? All these people, like, who is their fan base? It's 14 to 18-year-old men. Like, maybe they have older guys, but you know, no boomers are religiously watching Alex Eubank like the 14-year-olds are, right? So it's like David Lade had that same fan base of like younger guys. So if he said he was on gear, what would all of his followers do? Hop on gear. But no, David Lade did not admit to taking gear. Rather, he let people think it was done naturally so that they would work as hard to get to the point he did. Now, I'm not like discrediting David Lade and saying like, you know, his hard work never mattered, but the issue is he knows that like you can't just hop on steroids. And like, David Lade probably did his blood work, he probably did all his stuff, but the thing is, you can't just hop on and like look like David Lade. Like, that's the issue with steroids and telling people that you're on gear, is that they'll get the implication that if they hop on steroids, they can just look like you. But the issue is, there's the question of how much work you put in, there's a question of how your genetics affect your physique, right? So it's not as simple as just hopping on steroids, but a lot of people will just do it, right? So that's why people lie about their natty status, because some people are genuinely trying to protect their followers. Matter of fact, I was inspired by David Lade like the whole entire time I was in the gym, but I thought he was natural the whole time. So that made me believe that I could do it too. But the difference is, like, I'm not just gonna hop on gear one day anytime soon at this age, because I still have so much more to grow. And the thing is, the question with gear is slightly impatience, because look, I don't go to the gym 2 to 3 times a week. Like, I go religiously. Everything I do is for the gym. And I want to get bigger like everyone else does. But the question is, people don't want to go through the long, grueling process of putting in 10 years as a natural, 8 years as a natural, 6 years as a natural. I'm not even there. I'm at 3, right? But you want to be as big, like, you want to be the biggest you can be 3 years into your lifting, right? But the issue is, gear does affect your health. So like, you have an option of ruin your health at 18 versus ruin your health at 30, you know? I'm gonna put it that way, right? So why would you hop on a cycle so early when you still have, like, your body isn't even finished growing? I'm 20 years old, right? So I'm not even like, I don't even have a beard, right? I'm not even like a grown man yet. Like, I'm still growing. Why would I hop on a cycle early, right? I feel like that's just impatience. It doesn't matter if I want to be an IFBB pro. It doesn't matter if I want to step on stage already and stuff like that. Like, do it naturally, bro. Like, hop on gear like once, maybe after you had kids, after you had a full beard, when you're living in a home, like you're taking gear and then you live with your parents, and it's like, oh, like, you know, you need to think of how it affects the people around you too, because everyone knows at the end of the day, if you're not careful with steroids, they will kill you. So like, why would you just hop on and then like now your whole family knows you're pinning? And it's just like, do it naturally, like while you're still young, you know what I mean? You have your whole entire life to hop on TRT, especially after you like turn 50. So like, why start taking it at like 21, 22? Like, bro, Alex Eubank, like, you like, and you know, oh, I'm doing it for my gains, I'm doing it for my stuff like that. But like, I don't know, this, at the end of the day, it does come to genetics. I don't suffer from low test. A lot of men do, but no, I'm playing. But that's kind of just how it is. Like, your genetics are your genetics. So if your testosterone is low and you're a man, like, you might have to hop on TRT. But again, there always are going to be side effects to, like, when just in like taking anything, TRT, SARMs, cycles, anything you take, like, there will be a slight tax on your body, you know? So like, I don't know, I don't like the idea of taxing your body at such a young age, because you really do have a lot to grow and you don't want to mess with anything, especially like if you're already healthy, you know? Like, why start taking stuff and then you need to stay taking stuff? Because again, once you hop on, like, depending on what you're taking, as soon as you come off, you lose all of it. So it's like you're basically taking away from your health for temporary gains, because you'll never be as big if you hop off cycle. So you'll have to keep staying on cycle, keep ruining your health. But what you could do is just get bigger naturally instead, so that you don't need a cycle to look like that 24/7. Because the thing about guys like David Lade, and the thing about like all these people who take steroids, are that once they get off cycle, they do lose a fair amount of size, you know, depending on what they're taking, of course. But like, bro, you know that you, as a bodybuilder, like, you're just trying to get bigger permanently. Like, I don't want to just look big for 2 weeks, and then every single 2 weeks I have to stay taking stuff to look that way. Like, I'd rather just look that way 24/7 and put in the work to get there, you know? So I'm not saying people who take steroids don't put in the work, because of course there's people like Sebum, there's people like Olympians, but that's different, you know? Like, when you, if you're trying to reach that level, okay, you know, like, that, it's a long journey. But like, of course, even Sebum, like, even, I don't know how early he started taking stuff, but I really don't think he was 15, 16, 17 taking gear like some of these people are doing, you know? So the question isn't, is like, taking gear, is it good or bad? It's just like, taking gear, you can't start it too young, you know, because that's just gonna, in the long run, it's gonna fuck you over, right? But the point being is, some people lie to protect, some people lie to make sure that other people don't just start hopping on a cycle, and then some people just lie because they're terrible people, right? Like, they lie because they don't want to admit that they're just juicing to get to where they got to, right? And they'd rather say they did it all themselves, because there is pride in saying you did it naturally. Like, even people who take steroids know that, like, if you're big as a natural, that's as impressive as it gets, because it's hard to get that big as a natural, you know? So there are plenty of people that are 200 pounds lean, 210 lean, that are natural, and that's really just a question of like how much they dedicated, whether their genetics are suited for them to look that way or not. Because if someone's 210 lean year round, then they're obviously not on cycle, because like, well, of course, like, if they're like, it's all about like the size question. So like, if someone's bigger 3 months, smaller the next three, strong as fuck for 1 week, really weak the other day, like, bro, clearly you're on cycle, right? Because you're on and off, right? But like, it's possible to get that big as a natural. It just takes a lot of time. That's the thing. I could be 200 pounds lean if I wanted to, but it would take years of eating, years of training, years of proper recovery, but I could do it. I wouldn't need gear to be 210 lean like some of these people are trying to be. 210 lean on gear. Like, bro, just be 210 lean natural. Oh, but like, you know, that because, bro, the limitations, they don't exist. If you eat more, you will get bigger. So the truth is, like, skinny, whether it's a skinny dude hopping on gear, whether it's a fat dude hopping on gear so he could get lean and crazy striations and stuff like that, do your cardio, eat more, train harder, and pray you have good genetics. Because at least I know, like, for myself, I could get as big as I wanted to. It would just take years of dedication, and I'm not afraid of that. But like, for some people, you know, like, they'll have to sacrifice a lot more, in the sense that, like, I only deal with bulking. Like, I don't bulk and cut to look the way I do. I'm just like, no joke, I am shredded and lean year round. So like, I just have to eat more, but other people have to eat more and then starve themselves, right? But like, I would never have to starve myself. So like, that's already and by starve myself, I mean go on a cut. But like, that's already somewhere where, like, that's just my genetics being that good. Like, I don't deal with having to eat less, right? So I can eat as much as I want year round. A lot of people can't do that and be as lean as I am, right? So it's just things like that. It's like, it has to apply to you, literally. Because bodybuilding, like, as much as it might be unfair, like, genetics, they're not, like, of course you can work hard and you can achieve it. Well, I'm not going to say any physique you want, because of course your bone structure is your bone structure, your height is your height, right? Like, how lean you are is how lean you are. But of course you can work hard and still achieve a great physique. But like, some physiques just look the way they look because that's how the person was born, right? But is David Lade a case of that, right? When he's 210 lean, deadlifting 800 pounds, that's just how he was born. Yeah, he's a natural. No, right? Like, you got to use your brain. Nah, I'm playing. Because a lot of people, they don't know like how heavy things really are, you know, in the gym sense. But like, when you see dudes putting outrageous numbers, they're lean as fuck and they're strong, but not year round. It's all about that year round, guys. That's the last thing I'm gonna say about this, Natty or not. It's all about the year round, because like, especially if you're like constantly lifting, you don't just shrink, you don't just lose size, right? So it's like, really look at a person, you know, if you're questioning whether they're natty or not, look at their progress, look at the progress they've made. Like, since the first year that I've been lifting, I've always been this lean. I've always had the same veins. Like, the only thing I really did was put on size. But it's not like it was like, you know, year one, year two, I was small, and then all of a sudden on year three, no, it's like, it's a gradual up curve, right? And again, you look at like people like that put on 50 pounds of muscle in 2 years, and their progress is just a straight spike, right? Another giveaway, another indicator. But of course, like, that's just stuff I know because, again, back to the whole, like, my For You page, everything I see is gym related. But I like staying caught up. I like knowing about everything and being able to just kind of talk about, you know, this natty or not stuff and make these connections. But if you guys enjoyed this video, let me know. I know it's a bit of a more chill video. It's not really a gym video, but of course, like with pump review, it's like, I need to time manage better. I'm not gonna give up on pump review. I'm gonna keep on posting. Obviously today's a rest day, so I don't really have anything to post, but my pump review is kind of like almost like my bulk tracking, you know, so I'm not gonna stop uploading that. But more videos like this will be made where it's just I set my phone down talk to you guys about stuff that's on my mind in the, you know, in the gym sense, and then we pack it up. But I'll see you guys.